good? Was good? Was good? It's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops, coming to you with another interactive live with my chat family, with my chat community. This is a topic that just kind of came to mind, and I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, this is something we could definitely chop it up about because it's in real time. We're watching the Cavs and the Pacers in an epic playoff series. And I say epic because you look at the game winners, last second shots. Um, you look at how things tilt so easily if you just have one guy or one less guy, especially a part of your core. And so we're seeing like this battle between two teams that are in their window for a championship. They are both in a championship window. They're all in. So they're in a different place than where the Detroit Pistons are. But at the same time, they're in our division, which means that not only are we going to be seeing them regularly, right? We also have rivalries with both of these teams. So we're going to see them regularly and have rivalries. And we're going to have to go through them to get to where I think this team could be in the next couple seasons, which is stepping into their own championship window. So what is it going to take? What is it going to take down a prime Evan Mobley, prime Donovan Mitchell, and Darius Garland? Jared Allen should still be there, but who knows? And I'm going to get into the contracts. I'm going to get into their future outlook. I'm going to get into what I'm currently seeing from these rosters and what I believe when I contrast that with what the Detroit Pistons have, what it might look like for them to actually try to beat them in a playoff series. Remember, 7 games, it ain't like a one and done. It ain't like a regular season game. A 7 game series, more often than not, the better team wins. Now, health is the underlining for all of it, right? If you ain't healthy, you ain't in it. You ain't in it. But when they're both healthy, knock on wood, what the Detroit Pistons are going to have to do is level up a few. They're going to have to level up not just in their experience, not just in their team continuity, not just in their ability to have confidence in their game to transfer it to playoff competition, which we saw begin to evolve over time against the Knicks. But it's to say that they're going to need to be able to play at a level that is going to have to take down all NBA players, some of the best playoff performers, probably in NBA history when you look at a Donovan Mitchell. They're going to have to go through a gauntlet to get to their goal. And for the Detroit Pistons, that's a real conversation. What is it going to look like to go through the gauntlet? This offseason, Trajan Langdon, Tom Gore, they have the task in front of them of reconstructing this roster. And I say reconstructing not to mean that they're moving off of the young guys. Trajan Langdon already made that clear. He's not doing that. He's going to see what these guys got together. We haven't seen a single game of Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson, Tobias Harris, and Jalen Duren starting together. We haven't seen a single game, which means that we're still figuring out what this team could look like. We have no idea. So when we think about that, we have to sit back and say, okay, how do we continue to build around this young roster in a way that allows them to maximize their talent as they progress towards the ultimate goal of being champions? Well, let me just start off with the Detroit Pistons, and then I'm going to get to the Indiana Pacers. Then I'm going to get to the Cleveland Cavaliers. First off with the Detroit Pistons is they cannot rest on their laurels. They cannot just simply run it back. Yes, they can run it back with the young guys, not with the veterans. What we're learning from these playoffs is that jump shots wane. We experienced it ourselves against the Knicks. We're seeing it with the Cavs, seeing it even with the Pacers at times. You cannot always depend upon a jump shot, but you can depend upon the other things that help you to win, primarily defense, versatility, switchability, high IQ, having the ability to rebound the ball, and that's a major one. Having the ability to have roster flexibility to play different styles, to play at different speeds, And when you're going up against a coach like Rick Carlisle, who's an all-time great Hall of Fame coach, make no mistake about that. Rick Carlisle will be in the Hall of Fame, in the NBA Hall of Fame as a coach. You have to realize going against him, X's and O's wise, means that you will have your work cut out for you. He will have a scheme developed precisely to defeat your team. And when I say precisely, I mean that shit is going to work. So you are going to have to make adjustments. You are going to have flexibility. You are going to have to be ready for what they're bringing. And we talk about how these Cavs suck. I don't think they suck. I think we're seeing what it is when it comes to being healthy in the playoffs. If you are not healthy, your team is not the team record wise that it may say, right? They're the number one seeded team, best team in the league, Eastern Conference, when healthy. When they do not have Darius Garland at full speed, they are not the best team in the East. Without Darius Garland, they're probably a number 3 seed, 4 seed. I'm being honest. A major part of that team is their ability to play off and on between Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, Garland teaming up with Jarrett Allen, heavy pick and roll, having shooting and spacing, and then going with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. A little bit more ISO centered, being able to expose mixed matches and the like. I feel like they're missing some of the toughness right now too. They are. I think. Well. Here's the thing. I don't think they're missing toughness. I don't think either side is missing toughness. You are seeing right now that in the second round and above, toughness is basic. Being tough and playing D is basic. That's no longer. I mean, toughness and playing with defense. That's a conversation for bottom feeding teams like Sacramento or Charlotte, Washington, Utah, like teams like that. When you have to bring up that conversation, it's like, okay, you're not serious. If we have to have that conversation, you're not serious about winning a championship. Being tough, being physical, playing with force, playing defense. These things have to be fundamental. Fundamental. And it speaks to what I think that being tough ain't enough, being hard is what you need. Joe B, my man with the jokes, constantly, constantly. I'm mad at it though. It is what it is. When we look at this team, especially these Detroit Pistons, when we look at these Pistons, there are some significant changes they have to make. They are going to have to upgrade their veterans. They have to. They have to. They cannot rest on the laurels of what they did last season. The league is not going to be shocked by the dribble handoff, 3-point shooting, Tim Hardaway Jr., Malik Beasley coming off the bench with Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder was a nice, versatile piece. Like I said before, I doubt he signs for a vet minimum or under 10 million, especially in the prime of his career. And he's always been of the ilk of he knows that he's a starting caliber player. He may not be an all-star starter, but he's a starting caliber point guard. We saw what he did in the first half of the season against when he was playing with the Brooklyn Nets. I'll pull up his stats really quick. When he was playing with the Nets this season, he was averaging, let me see, 33 minutes a game. 33 minutes a game. 18 points, 6.5 assists, with only 2.4 turnovers or 2.6 turnovers. 18 and 6. That's what he does as a starter. There are many teams who would love to have an 18 and 6 point guard. Many teams who's not scared of the big moment, who knows what to do at the right time, can facilitate, create his own shot. Even if he's not a great 3-point shooter, if he's at least average, he's doing better than most point guards in the league. Remember, the point guard position is actually descending right now, right? Kyrie is getting hurt. He's getting older. Stephen Curry is older. Westbrook is on his way out, right? Like these dominant force point guards. LaMelo Ball is always hurt. You got a Jalen Brunson, a Tyrese Halliburton, but these guys, they aren't your Derrick Roses. They aren't the guys who are gonna just explode past you and completely dominate a game. They play at a high level because of skill and know-how, but not because they're just a dominant force. Honestly, our players like Ivy, Thompson, Duran, Holland got to take the next step. Facts. But first, let me start with the upgrading of the veterans. Right now, we have, yeah, precisely, calm guy. Precisely. Let me start with the veterans. I want to give you a list of veterans and kind of younger veterans that I want us to take a look at. And I want you to hear me on why I'm considering them to be a significant upgrade over the veterans that we currently have. And that means even throwing in Simone Fontecchio, definitely Paul Reed, but most certainly guys like Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. It's not to say those guys aren't good. They're just not playoff battle good. Guys you can go to war with. Guys who, if their jump shot leaves them, they can get you tough baskets. They can get you defensive stops, key rebounds. These are the veterans I'd like for them to sign, or at least look at to potentially sign. The first one is Chris Middleton. Played for Detroit, was drafted by the Pistons. Um, Yeah, they are defensive liabilities. What's good, Big Rich Jr.? I don't know if I've seen you in my videos before, but welcome to the community. Welcome to the family. This is an interactive chat. Definitely chop it up with y'all. If you smash the like button, it actually tells the algorithm that you enjoy being in my live chat videos, and you want to know the next time I do a video. So don't forget to smash that like button for me. It helps out the channel. These are the veterans that I would love to see the Detroit Pistons trade for. Chris Middleton. Got drafted by the Pistons, 6'8", about a 6'11" wingspan. Still has the ability to create a shot against just about any defense. Even though he's not an elite athlete, they are. I appreciate that, Big Rich. I appreciate that. Even though he's not an elite athlete, he's always been highly skilled and he's versatile. He's the type of guy that if he's not creating his own shot, he's pretty much at a Tobias Harris. He's a little bit above Tobias Harris level in terms of shot creation. But even if his shot's not dropping, right? Even if he can't take his guy off the bounce, he's still a really good three-point shooter from the perimeter. He still is a great decision maker. He can facilitate. He can play make. He has good length and versatility on defense. And considering what he would be for us, he would be coming off the bench, which means that he's a primary player coming off the bench on the wings. That allows us to have positional flexibility up and down the line. This is what you see when you have guys like Asar Thompson and Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey because of their size at 6'5", 6'7", 6'7". Those three can slide up and down, power forward, small forward, shooting guard, or point guard. They can slide up and down that, which means you can plug in other guys to have different looks. So if you put a Chris Middleton in there to play power forward in Tobias Harris's role off the bench, now all of a sudden you have another shot creator, playmaker, facilitator, rebounder. And as I've said before, this is something that very rarely gets talked about, being a problem solver. Can you be a problem solver in the playoffs? Can you be someone who can perceive what the defense is trying to do and make the right reads and right decisions in the right moments? Can you be someone who can make the right reads and decisions in the right moment? Problem solver. That's what Chris Middleton can be for us in a major way. We would have to trade for him. We would have to trade for him, but I think he would be worth it because his contract would be up before we have to really get into our salary cap and re-signing guys. He's playing currently with the Washington Wizards. I wouldn't be shocked if the Washington Wizards want to just keep him around. Considering he's getting paid $33 million next year. It's a player option, which he'll more than likely opt into unless he's able to restructure that contract and extend it maybe an additional 2 years at about 20-something million. If Dallas starts rebuilding, you think PJ Washington might get moved? PJ Washington is a great pickup. I think they'll let Najee Marshall go before PJ Washington. Um, he would be a good pickup for us, but I doubt he'll be available, and he'll probably cost us because of his age, his skill, positional versatility, and a lot of other things. He's just a young guy. He's a real asset. He's a real asset. I'll say Chris Milton was the first guy. The second guy that I was pointing out was Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart. Yo, at 6'5", 6'4", 6'5". He's got a big wingspan, 6'9", 6'10" wingspan. He's also a problem solver. He's also someone who's not scared of the moment. He'll take shots, even if it's sometimes questionable, maybe not be the best shot, but he's not scared of the moment. He's been to the NBA Finals. He's been on deep playoff runs. He's someone who knows what it takes to win tough games down the stretch when everybody's tight, when folks are scared and palms get sweaty. He knows what to do. He knows what to do. He shows up. And even at worst, he can give you Josh Hart production, give you some rebounds, really good defense. He gets his hands on loose balls and digs down on drives and taps balls away, takes charges, stuff like that. You can imagine us being able to put him on Jalen Brunson for stretches. How that might save the legs of guys like Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and Asar Thompson. But even further, he can also play alongside of a Marcus Sasser, which I think would actually be dope to have him alongside of Marcus Sasser, because then you get your scoring with Sasser while you get your facilitator, playmaker, defender with Marcus Smart. And his passing ability, I think it fits beautifully between Sasser and Ron Holland. The next veterans that I'm looking at are bigs. We have to upgrade our bigs. We just do. We just do off the bench. We got to have more size because when Isaiah Stewart went down, man, a lot got placed on Jalen Duren. And even though he was really healthy this year, that hasn't been the case his first 2 years. His first 2 years, he dealt with a lot of, little knick-knack injuries that would keep him out for stretches. I think we realize now Paul Reed can't be our answer if our starting big man is 6'10", our backup big man is 6'9", and then our third string is 6'8". Now, I do like Tolu Smith, right? Brother out of Mississippi State that we drafted. He's doing really well in the G League. Um, he even had a 20 rebound game, I believe. He's like 6'11", 7'5", point 0.75, almost 7 feet, 260 pounds, solid, built solid. Pacific Islander brother, right? Built solid. You know what I mean? So he's going to bring that physicality. But if they don't believe in him, they can go after some big men like Andre Drummond, which a lot of you have brought up. I think he could be a good mentor for Jalen Duren. I think he definitely carries the Detroit kind of energy and vibe. He understands the city and the team. Big Rich, I'm already ahead of you. I'm already ahead of you, brother. Already ahead of you. Ethan, random point. But Asar and Duren not being able to shoot might create a big problem in the future. Need for shooters on the floor in today's NBA. We saw plenty paint congestion with those two on the floor. I'm gonna be honest. I think you could play those two together and be just fine. Jaden Ivey, 40% three-point shooter. Cade Cunningham, catch and shoots. I would not bring in his playoffs as an indication of his shooting ability. I would say he's a far better shooter than that. His legs just got heavy from the load he was carrying on both ends of the court. But with a Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and then with a Tobias Harris or Chris Middleton, right? Even Fontecchio coming back, or even Bobby Clinton, we're gonna have more than enough shooting. Marcus Sasser can shoot. Ron Holland will be an improved shooter. I think Ron Holland will be around 33 to 35% from the 3-point line next year. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I think we're gonna have enough shooting. Um, all that's to say is Drummond or Brooke Lopez would be good options if we're not sold on Tolu Smith. Because remember, we also have our own scouting department that scouts our own guys in the G League. So they know who's progressing. They know who can step in and play Detroit basketball. I thought it was telling that Paul Reed got those minutes when Isaiah Stewart went down. We never looked at Tolu Smith. He was never really an option. Um, and I get it. He hadn't played with us barely at all throughout the regular season, but at the same time, we also weren't trying to call him up. We weren't trying to call him up. We didn't really, if you haven't pressed the team to be able to call you up early before the end of the season, it's usually an indication that they don't feel like you're ready or there's no space for you. And that could also be the case. But I would say it's probably more so they didn't think he was ready. Um, Let me see. Pistons fan, what's good, man? we retain Schroeder or Beasley, it's hard to consider doing anything else this offseason when both will occupy our remaining cap. That's why I'm kind of saying we need to upgrade both of them. We need to upgrade both of them. I like somebody like Marcus Smart because I think he could play alongside of someone like Marcus Sasser and Ron Holland. He can fit in between those two because of his ability to play multiple positions. At his size, 6'5", about 220 pounds, he's big, he's massive. He's not necessarily quick enough to guard those quick, shifty point guards, but he is big, long enough, and has an IQ and defensive acumen to stay in front of most, especially guys like a Brunson, where you don't need to bite on every, jab here and there. You can use your size and your length against them and your toughness and your defensive IQ. And it'll help that he gets the benefit of the doubt from the referees. So those little 50-50 flops that Brunson does, that they aren't going to work against Marcus Smart because Marcus Smart has the ability to kind of see it coming, and referees will give him the benefit of the doubt that he has his body in position. Do you consider instead of resigning Schroeder, we trade Tech and seconds for a Smart? Yeah, completely, completely. Also, keep in mind that Marcus Smart, his contract is going to be up at the end of next season. He's only getting paid 21.5 million, right? So, considering that contract, it's the perfect type of flexible contract for us to bring in. That is a true asset. He's 31 years old. Middleton is 33. Um, Both of those are guys who, age-wise, they're not trying to compete with the young guys. They understand, though they're still on the back end of their prime, they have much to contribute to a playoff team, and yet they know they're not gonna be the guys who necessarily carry you into the playoffs. And I don't even think that they're necessarily looking to be that anymore. They probably want stability, and if they play well for us, we can extend them. We can extend them, and keep them around a couple more seasons maybe and stuff like that. So we're gonna have options. Some other guys I wanna get to, though, Trey Lyles and Bruce Brown. Trey Lyles, 6'10", really versatile forward, playing for the Sacramento Kings right now. He, I believe, is going to be an unrestricted free agent. When I look at his game, it's he doesn't have the shot creation of a Tobias Harris, but he does have the ability to knock down threes. He makes great decisions. He's someone who's a little bit younger, so a little bit springier. He can get out and transition a little bit better. And he has the ability to rebound for us at that four position. At 6'10", this is the type of guy that we should be looking for. When I look at his age, let me see. He's 29. So he's a little bit beyond the prime of this team, right? But he is someone who can grow with this team. So if they're not sold on Bobby Clinton, and remember, I keep bringing up some of these young guys off the bench. If they're not sold on them, these are the types of moves that they have to be considering. Dev, what's good, man? Haven't seen you in a while. Um, I just hope the team isn't thinking of trading one of our main young core players for a name. Thought of beating the Pacers or the Cavs team. We've seen teams with big names fail enough to know better. Well, if you listen to Trajan Langdon's end of the season exit interview, he said specifically, "We're not doing that. We're focused on these young guys aged 19 to 23." And that is significant because the young guys who fit the age of 19 to 23 are just about all of our young guys. From Bobby Klintman is 22. Mark Sass is 24. I don't know if he's saying he ain't trying to wait on Marcus Sasser. He could be trying to say that. Then you got Jalen Duren at 21. You've got, let me see, Jaden Ivey at 23. Sar Thompson, 22. Ron Holland, 19. Cade Cunningham, 23. Isaiah Stewart, 23. So I don't know if he's specifically saying Marcus Sasser is not in the, purview of this team, but he was only drafted a couple seasons ago. All right. Just last year was his rookie year. And they drafted him in the first round. So there should be some level of investment in him. I like him as a spark plug off the bench. I think he could be our Peyton Pritchard. I really do. I do think he needs to get a little bit stronger. He needs to add maybe about 5 pounds of muscle, and get that little girth on him that you see Peyton Pritchard have to, get guys off him. Just give him that, get off me. You know what I mean? All that's to say is I think he's someone that they're still invested in. But those are some of the older veterans that I see the Pistons targeting. I want to get to some of the younger veterans that I see the Pistons targeting. Oh, and I didn't even talk about Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, look. Let me, yo. Bruce Brown. He's been winning for a long time. Got the NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets with Nikola Jokic. He was a key guy off their bench. He's the type of versatile guy. Think Josh Hart. That is a perfect comparison. He's Josh Hart, maybe a little bit lighter, but plays a very similar role. I think he's more athletic than Josh Hart. He's more athletic. Both same height, same type of game style. Do a little bit of everything. I defend up and down the line, 1 through 4, because they're tough, strong base. They can rebound. Uh, they move well laterally. Extremely smart, high IQ players on both ends of the court. Team first guys. They can facilitate, play make, and occasionally, more and more so, they knock down the open shot with regularity. These are two guys that you have to recognize are just contributors to winning, and I'm talking about Bruce Brown and Josh Hart in that comparison. Marcus Smart is similar at about 6'4", 6'5" as well. So Bruce Brown would be somebody else I think that they can look at because he's only, let me pull him up here. He's 28. He's 28. So he's somebody that would work a little bit more for us to say, hey, if he could have a good year for us, he is an unrestricted free agent, right? If we can sign him for maybe like 3 years, 15 million a year, right? I think Bruce Brown would have done more for us in these playoffs than Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. I'll be honest with you. Be honest with you. No, he's not their level of shooter, but he's better in every other way. Defense, moving without the ball, rebounding, versatility, passing, playmaking, uh, in transition, finishing around the rim, um, IQ on the court, making the right plays. He's better across the board, and he's been a key contributor for a championship team. That means something. Look at the guys that I'm mentioning: Middleton, Smart, Bruce Brown. These guys have won championships or have been to the NBA Finals. These guys can help teach and problem solve for this team, which is what they need when you have young guys who haven't been there yet. This is how you kind of accelerate that learning curve. You don't necessarily put it all on them to figure it out. Appreciate all the comments in the chat. Let me get to one of these. Um, Let me see. Oh, Stephen B, what's good with you, man? This is an interactive live group chat, so I appreciate you being on here with me. Feel free to smash the like button if you enjoy these interactive lives, because it tells the algorithm that you want to be notified the next time I do it. Sometimes lately I've been doing them daily, but just different topics. So smash that like button for me; it helps out the channel. But let me get to your comment. You said, how much more would you like to see the young guys get utilized this season? It felt like this season we way too much on our vets. Facts. But I think that was purposeful because, in terms of leaning on our veterans, because they were trying to provide stability. And I get that. After last season and the seasons before that, there was a lack of stability. And so I think that they were looking to really ensure that the young guys knew they could lean on someone else. It wasn't all on them. And it gave them the freedom to be a little bit more, um, not carefree, but not have to carry that load. The only problem, the only problem is our veterans had limitations, significant limitations, and they got exposed. And I mean Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. They got exposed, and Paul Reed. They couldn't do certain things. They had real limitations. Malik Beasley, 6'3", right? Tim Hardaway Jr., 6'4". They could not defend those wings for the New York Knicks. Mikal Bridges, 8, whenever he saw Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley. Jalen Brunson, 8, when he saw either of those defenders. Even against Dennis Schroeder, who is known as a solid point of attack defender. But Jalen Brunson's game is such that if you're not 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", with long arms and athleticism, he doesn't even see you. He doesn't see you in front of him. He's letting that thing go as if it's a catch and shoot, wide open jump shot. That's how his game works. And when we think about the teams that we're trying to take down, which is the point of this video, The teams that are above us in our own division, who will likely be right there with us or above us in the playoff seating for the foreseeable future, the Cavs and the Pacers, you're going to have better defensive players, defensive veterans that you can rely upon in the playoffs. You have to, which is why I brought those initial veterans up, primarily Middleton, Marcus Smart, and Bruce Brown. Trey Lyles and Drummond, and even Brooke Lopez are also alternative guys. Now, some of the younger veterans, Jabari Walker, I've raved about him over and over and over and over. You guys already know. 6'9", great agility, not a high flyer leaper, but plays extremely hard, high motor. Think Isaiah Stewart, Isaiah Stewart's younger brother, right? A little bit more skill, and smoothness to his offensive game, but he can shoot it. He rebounds. He's physical, plays tough, plays both ends, defense, setting hard screens, etc. He gets you those necessary rebounds. He makes all the right plays, dives on loose balls, everything that you love from a utility guy off the bench. All right, he's just not a high flyer. If he had a 35-inch vertical, he'd be somebody starting power forward right now. Right? If he had a 35-inch vertical, he'd probably be what's his name, John Collins. You know what I mean? The other younger veterans, Sadiq Bey and Lindy Waters. Sadiq Bey and Lindy Waters. I like Sadiq Bey. He already played with us. He already knows his team. He already knows the city. I like him. I like him. 6'8" shooter. Tell you right now, if we had Sadiq Bey or Bruce Brown on this team or Marcus Smart, I think we get through the Knicks. We have the versatility we need, and we simply didn't. We didn't have the versatility and the depth of versatility to beat the Knicks. But if you look at how most of these teams are constructed that are above us in a playoff seeding, the Boston Celtics, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New York Knicks, the Indiana Pacers, all those teams present issues with length, size, shooting, that we're going to have defenders who can actually contest, who can actually close out and force them to put the ball on the ground. We didn't have a lot of those guys outside of Asar and Cade, which is why Cade's legs got so heavy in the playoffs. We depended upon him. We leaned on him. We needed him. Now, I do like someone's comment in here who said about the young guys. Do you think that they'll lean more on the young guys next season, that they'll be utilized more? Stephen B, I believe, said it. Let me just say, the young guys are going to take a prominent role next season, which is why I said a lot of these veterans that we currently have will not have the same role. I know everybody loved what we saw from Malik Beasley this year. He will not have that same role next year. He will not. Tim Hardaway Jr., he will not. He will not have that same role. When Jaden Ivey returns, that's 35 minutes a game instead of Tim Hardaway Jr.'s 26, 27, 28. Jaden Ivey is the type of guard. Not only is he able to play that 35 minutes, he's also able to be a dominant force and a fulcrum of our offense. He's going to be averaging easily, I would probably guess, if I had to take an over-under for Jaden Ivey averaging over 20 points a game next season, I'm taking the over. He's going to average over 20 points a game. Not to mention probably 5 rebounds, 5 assists, over a steal, close to a block a game on good shooting percentages. That's what he's going to be doing. Asar Thompson, I'm guessing somewhere around 16, 7, and 4 next year with 3 to 4 stocks per game. That's steals and blocks combined. Right? Like, that's when you have those guys with that type of production, you have to understand the role players are not going to have the same roles that they had before when Asar Thompson was out the first half of the season, when Jaden Ivey was out the second half of the season. All right. I wouldn't say contenders. We still have other things to address, but that'll help a lot. Well, this is what I'm saying. Well, you have a bunch of comments here. If the Knicks were built to beat the Celtics, do you think the Pistons should follow a similar formula? If so, who should we be built to beat? No, I don't think we need to be built to beat anybody. We have talent. We have so much talent. Look, I keep trying to tell y'all, This is one of the most talented rosters in the NBA. We are the team that will be the team to beat in 2 years. In 2 years, not next season, the season after. Next season, Jaden Ivey needs to experience the playoffs. Jaden Ivey needs to experience expectations. Jaden Ivey needs to come into his own as he started to before the injury. But once he does, once Asar Thompson does, once Jalen Duren does, the following year, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Look at the flashes that we already saw in the playoffs. Look at the flashes that we already saw from Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson just against the Knicks. What about taking a flyer on Bol Bol? No, no, it's completely unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. He doesn't have the physicality. Doesn't really have the experience. He's never really gotten consistent playing time. He would be almost a young guy along with the rest of the young guys. There's no. I wish him all the best. Truly do. Big fan of Bol Bol. That's not who we need. We need problem solvers. We need versatility. We need physicality and toughness on the defensive end. Guys with high motors that can spell our starters. That's what we need. Sorry, I can't get to all the comments on here. I'm glad y'all are chopping it up. If you want me to specifically stop and pause and talk about your question or comment, you know what to do. Slide me a super chat and we will stop and pause for a couple minutes and talk about whatever topic you want. But I'm glad y'all are chopping it up there. The community is always lit. Um, but let me talk about my outlook for this team next season. I think this team could end anywhere next season between 40, 42 as a baseline up to 50 wins next season. And I say baseline because you never know how these other teams are going to come back. You never know. The injuries to the Philadelphia 76ers completely upended their season. But that's a team that has some considerable talent. Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. That was a team that was built to try to win a championship if they were healthy. So when you look at that type of a team and you say, okay, imagine if they bring back Quentin Grimes. Still have Andre Drummond under contract unless he opts out. Kelly Oubre unless he opts out. Still have Eric Gordon unless he opts out. They have some young guys, but really they have the type of players that are going to be competing for a championship. If they're healthy, they're right back in the mix. They're a top 4 seed, right? Which then impacts the wins that we get or don't get. Look at other teams like the Toronto Raptors. Completely expect the Toronto Raptors to be a playoff team. They will be fighting us to get to that 6th seed. They will be fighting us. I guarantee you. If the Toronto Raptors are healthy, I used to do content on them back when I first started. With that team, Jakob Porto, Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel Quickly. And they get some bench guys. I think they got Kelly Olynyk is a bench guy. Let me see. Grady Dick, Ochai Agbaji, Jacoby Walter, right? Mobo, Boucher. Like, that's a team that's going to be good next season. So it's really going to be a considerable challenge for us to get back to this 6th seed. It's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Milwaukee might be retooled next year. If I'm Milwaukee, I keep it a band with you. If I'm Milwaukee, I target Quentin Grimes. If I'm Milwaukee, I get the exemption for Damian Lillard's contract. Get the exemption. Use that money to sign Quentin Grimes. Use that money to sign him. Get you a guy who can get you 15, 16 points a game on really good, high efficiency 3-point shooting, some playmaking. He's like a bigger Dante DiVincenzo, right? He'd be perfect there, right? These are things that if Milwaukee is right back in the mix, if they're healthy, right? Dame will be out, but I told you all about Kevin Porter Jr. All this to say is it will be a fight to get back to the 6th seed, which is why I have our range for next season between the 40 to 42 wins as a baseline, up to 50 wins. All that's to say is we will be leaning heavily on our youth's development. It will be a big year for us to prove it. These young guys to prove it. Who is going to be a part of this championship team? And I believe in this roster. I believe in it. Now, all that said, I know we got a draft pick. I'm not even going to jump into number 37 pick. That was on the previous videos. Check it out. There's some good talent in the draft. I don't think necessarily anyone's going to be a game changer for us. I do like the cat out of Tennessee. Um, what's his name out of Tennessee? Y'all look it up. The shooter out of Tennessee. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". Kind of reminds me of Desmond Bain. Quick release. I think he could be somebody that we grab up in the draft, ready to contribute, come in immediately. And there's going to be some guys that drop down, give us some versatility along the wings, forward position, right? And they'll be slid in there amongst, Ron Holland and Bobby Clinton. All that's to say is I still don't see that guy being an impact player in the playoffs. We saw how little minutes even Ron Holland got in the first round of the playoffs against the Knicks. So whoever we bring in, I doubt they're going to have a considerable role unless something uh, that we don't want to happen, like injuries, knock on wood, happens. Right? That's the only way a draft pick is going to be a contributor for us in the playoffs. Now, let's get to the matchups. These Detroit Pistons against the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I was going to do them first and then the Pacers. Hope that's okay with y'all. Once again, if you're enjoying this interactive live chat, smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. It helps out the channel. It helps out with the algorithm. It says you enjoy doing interactive live chats with me whenever I'm Chaz Lanier, Pistons fan. Yo, I love my chat. Y'all be coming through. Chaz Lanier. My man got jumper. Reminds me of Desmond Bain. On the move, on the catch. He could be nice. He's somebody who knows his game. You ain't got to worry about him. He's going to be confident. He's going to know what to do in the right moments because he's been a leader for that team in Tennessee. He's made big runs in the tournament. I'm confident in him. Now, let me get to this matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs ain't going nowhere. Let me just start it with that. The Cavs ain't going nowhere. And I'm going to pull up Cleveland Cavaliers roster. The guys who are locked in for the next at least 2 more seasons. Isaac Okoro, who I like, Evan Mobley, Max Strus, Jarrett Allen, DeAndre Hunter, Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland. That's their core. Outside of Ty Jerome, who I think they will try to get a deal done. Dean Wade is getting paid $6.5 million next season. I think they'll try to extend him as well. But they're locked into this contract. They are locked into this roster. And they should be. Number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Best record in the league. Tied for it at least with OKC. They should have every reason in the world to believe in this roster. Now, I'm sure they're also saying they need to upgrade the backup point guard position because even though I like Craig Porter Jr., you see with Darius Garland down, they're struggling. But everyone's going to struggle in the second round and the third round for a chance to go to the finals. By the time you get to the second round, you're looking at championship contending teams. If you're in the second round, you're looking at, okay, it's time to go all in. You never know how long your window is going to last for. If you're in the second round and you're competing in the second round, it's time to go all in. Now, when I look at the competition for us for the foreseeable future, how do we match up against Cleveland's size? I think we can match up pretty well. Evan Mobley is not a overpowering physical force. He does have height, length, timing, agility, balance, right? He does so many things well, but I think Tobias Harris can hold it down well enough, at least for one more year. And that's why I said we need guys like Jabari Walker. I don't know if Bobby Clement will develop fast enough. This offseason, Bobby Clement should just be focused on refining his game and he should be in the lab daily. because he is going to have to beat Simone Fontecchio for that backup forward spot, power forward spot. He's gonna have to beat, and when I say beat him, he's going to have to outplay him so well, it's clear. It's clear because what they're not gonna do, they're not gonna nurse Bobby Clement. They're not gonna nurse him. They're not gonna play him like, hey, we're trying to, just give you a chance to figure it out, see what you can do. Hell no. Hell no. This team is ready. They're in the playoffs now. Bobby Clement is gonna have to come ready to take that spot. If he doesn't, it's going to be a rotation of Tobias Harris and Simone Fontecchio, which means we're looking to upgrade that forward position for the future. Now, what would a package for Jabari include? I'm assuming you're talking about Jabari Smith Jr. Jabari Walker is from the Portland Trailblazers. Jabari Smith Jr. is for Houston. Jabari Walker is an unrestricted free agent from Portland. Jabari Smith Jr. still has another year on his contract and is extension eligible for Houston. He's going to cost us more, likely a first round draft pick, future first round draft pick, and maybe some contract fillers, which I think we could do it. But I also think Houston is going to, I did a video on Houston. I think they're going to see him as a part of their future. And he's going to end up being a long term starter for them. I see them extending him this offseason as well. All that's to say is we're going to have more consistency. More consistency. I think our our backcourt for the Detroit Pistons matches up extremely well against the Cleveland Cavaliers backcourt, where they go 6'1.5", 6'2" between Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. We go 6'5" and 6'6". And because of Jaden Ivey's speed at the point of attack, you can rely upon him to stay in front of Garland or Mitchell. Now, nobody can truly stay in front of elite level point guards by themselves. But our team defense, having guys like Cade and Asar around you, now that presents a problem. Because now you have so much size and length, as the New York Knicks showed you. When you have a lot of size and length along that perimeter, you can shut down a lot of the perimeter shooting and the ability to make plays for some of these smaller guys. I would definitely take Sadiq Bey back. Yeah, he was solid for us. Facts. I liked him as well. So I think we match up against the backcourt against the Cleveland Cavaliers as well. I don't know if we match up against their front court. But before we go there, I want to talk about the wing. I think that is our ace in the hole. I think that's where our wing position of Cade Cunningham, Asar Thompson is able to outplay Cleveland's. I know they got Donovan Mitchell, but his lack of length and size, he's not going to be able to deter our guys from getting downhill to the rim, posting up, shooting over the top, rebounding over him, etc. I think we'll have a distinct advantage on the wings, especially with Ron Holland coming in off the bench. And then you have our front court. This is the asterisk. What Jalen Duren are we going to see next season? Jalen Duren had some good games for us in the playoffs. Let's be clear about that. I want to be clear about that. There's definitely no shade. But when we look at the season that he had, it was up and down. And I consistently said, man, I see so much more potential in him. I see so much more talent. I see so much more than he's actually producing. And then he had certain games in the playoffs where it was like, there it is. That's the Jalen Duren that we've been waiting on. And then he had other games where it was like, where'd he go? The last game, he had 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. The game before that, he had 9 points, but he had 14 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks. The game before that, he had 6 points, but 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. The game before that, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. And then the first game of the playoffs, he had 12 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 3 blocks. Right? Which Duren are we getting next season? I think we'll be getting something closer to 15 and 11 next season with maybe a block. I think he's going to be more consistent in playing at a high level. I think his breakout year will be the following year. But I think next year is a season we see consistent Jalen Duren. We start talking about him in the same breath of Jarrett Allen and Miles Turner and those guys who are, right there on the edge of all-star worthy, right? Production wise, they do what they do, but they're not like him. You know what I mean? They're not him. Go out and get you a bucket while locking you down on defense. They're not Evan Mobley good, right? I think Jalen Duren has the opportunity to get to be better than Jarrett Allen and Miles Turner. I think he has a real bag offensively and scoring around the rim. I think he can get downhill against just about anybody. I think he can average 15 to 18 points a game. He has Alperen Şengün, Domantas Sabonis type vibes for me. That's what I see. Interior scoring, ability to put pressure on the rim, rebounds like a demon, but has more defensive versatility and ability because of his vertical athleticism and his length with the 7'5" wingspan. So I think he could be better than both those two guys, but that's the mold he's in. He also doesn't seem to have the type of drive to be a primary scoring option. He just doesn't seem to have that. I wish he did, but he doesn't seem to have it. Seems a little bit more content with playing a tertiary role, more like a Jarrett Allen or even like a Domantas Sabonis. He doesn't need to be the guy scoring all the time. For us to be great, though, he needs to be able to be the guy scoring every time. Because depending upon the matchup, it's better for him to be putting pressure on the front court than the front court putting pressure on him. And I've said that before. When he gets involved early in games and he's putting pressure on the defense, his defense steps up and the other team's front court has to deal with his load every single time and they get worn out and they're less aggressive on the other end. So that's something that we have to keep in mind when it comes to Jalen Duren. I think he's going to be consistent against the Cavs. He will have his work cut out for him. But fortunately, we got our own backup reserve center, Superman, enforcer, Detroit basketball, culture, handler, Isaiah Stewart. He comes off the bench and he is a Tasmanian devil. He's all over the place, blocking shots left and right, rebounds, scaring people away from even trying them at the rim. And when they do, send them back with the finger. No, 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 no. I mean, he gives you everything you could want, and he's giving you 3-point shooting. Now, the thing is, injuries once again. All right, came back to bite us in the behind. We really could have used him against the Knicks. We needed him. But even then, he would have been undersized a bit against Mitchell Robinson, who's 7'1". Isaiah Stewart is 6'9". This is the reason why we need more size and length in the front court. So I think we can hold our own and we'll have enough advantages to be able to overcome a Cleveland Cavaliers. But we're going to have to bring it all together. And I don't know if that happens next year, but that's what it's going to take. Confident young guys to play in high leverage moments, and then the right veterans who can be problem solvers. That's what we're going to need as we look to improve our size and length on the interior. Now, y'all's favorite, Indiana Pacers. What is it going to take to beat the Pacers in a playoff series? Well, let me just start off with I think we give the Pacers all they can handle. We give them all they can handle. We figured out when you play a team that has the depth, especially in the backcourt, and the defensive physicality that the Pacers have between Andrew Nembhard and TJ McConnell and Benedict Mathurin and Aaron Nesmith even, you don't want Cade on the ball as much because he'll get burnt out. They'll guard him the full length of the court and wear him down. Letting Asar Thompson, especially Asar Thompson, and Jaden Ivey run the point against the Pacers gives us an advantage. The reason is you can't hide Tyrese Halliburton anymore. He was able to hide before. He could hide on Asar Thompson, especially when he got stuck in a corner or when he wasn't even playing. He could hide on Tim Hardaway Jr. He can't hide against Jaden Ivey and Asar Thompson. He's going to have to guard, and he's definitely not guarding Cade. So when it comes to the Indiana Pacers, we're going to have a distinct advantage but guys have to have the continuity to play consistently together. Then you also have our wings. We're going to have more scoring and versatility on the wings. Once again, Tyrese Halliburton, Aaron Nesmith. Aaron Nesmith is going to give you a good fight. He's going to give you a good fight. But he's not somebody you're worried about dropping 15 or more points a game in the playoffs. He's just not. And I'm looking up the roster now because I also want to see contracts because I know they have some major decisions to make. Miles Turner, unrestricted free agent, a must bring back. Considering that they're a smaller market team, that also means very likely they do what's called a consolidation trade, where they take two or more really talented guys who are under contract and they trade them for a position of need and a reduction in their salary. The reason why that's important is because they need to free up money to be able to re-sign Miles Turner and stay at or just barely above or beneath the salary cap. They're definitely not going to the second apron. That's not who they are. I would be shocked out of my mind if they go into the second apron for the Indiana Pacers. I'd be shocked completely. Um, they got decisions to make on guys like Benedict Mathurin, who will be a restricted free agent after next season. They still have young man Jarris Walker. They got Isaiah Jackson, who'll be an unrestricted free agent, who Pistons might want to take a look at coming off an injury. And then they got Thomas Bryant as well. Now, when we look at this roster, they're pretty much locked into it. Pascal Siakam is an all NBA performer. Got mad respect for him, mad love. Benedict Mathurin, like him too, the Canadian young man who was drafted right after Jaden Ivey to the Indiana Pacers. Jarris Walker, I like him as well. Drafted right after Detroit Pistons, Asara Thompson. Right? You see, I keep saying right after, right after. We have a real rivalry with them, y'all. Forget what they say. Oh, yeah, meet in the playoffs and all that stuff. Right? Nah, in your division, you have real rivalries. You got to see these dudes 4 times a year. You might see them in the in-season tournament, right? These are dudes you're gonna be looking at, have targets on their back, and then you got the front court, Miles Turner and Pascal Siakam. This is where I don't think we have answers. Tobias Harris cannot stay with Pascal Siakam. Can't. Pascal's just a little bit too agile and quick. He reminds me of Anton Jameson back in the day. Real quick, kind of shifty, 6'9", versatile forward, has just enough power to bump you off him when he has his strong base and he gets leverage. Um, and he also has quickness to just cut right around you. Quick move right around you. And then soft touch. You can shoot it. Yeah, pull-up game. He's got a bag. He's timely. He's smart. I don't think we have an answer for Pascal Siakam. He will be a problem for us. And then there's Miles Turner. He's been a problem for us because of his three-point shooting, even though we've adjusted in how we defend the three-point line with shooting bigs. We allow our perimeter players to guard them, and we drop Jalen Duren back so we can keep somebody around the rim while the big men shoot at the top with the contest of a wing player. Ivy on the floor, Asar can guard Siakam. No, he can't. No, he can't. I'm gonna be clear. Why I think Pascal Siakam is a problem even for Asar Thompson. 6'9" versus 6'7". 6'9" forward from the Toronto Raptors, who's in the NBA Finals and won a championship, was the second best player on the championship team, has been All NBA multiple times. He understands how to take advantage of whatever his advantage is against his opponent. Primarily when it comes to Asar Thompson, it's going to be his height and size. He has a game that is suited to be able to consistently beat just about any defender you put in front of him. Here's the thing. Even if you have a great defensive player of the year like Evan Mobley guarding him, he knows how to adjust his game to be able to take advantage of him. Right? If you're watching him against the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, he's not necessarily trying to take Evan Mobley off the dribble nonstop. Now, when he gets it going, yeah, he's confident he can score against anybody. But if not, He knows how to play off the ball. He knows how to play from the 3-point line. He knows how to score in different ways. All that's to say is when he faces an Asar Thompson, he's going to see food. Is a very talented defender in Asar Thompson, but strength is strength. Grown man strength is grown man strength. He'll have the ability to back him down, get him right next to the rim, give him a little jump hook, give him a little pump fake, up and under, step through. Right? These are things that are going to negate a lot of what Asar Thompson does for us. I would rather have Asar off of him so he can actually be a help defender. I think that's when he'll be at his best. That's like saying Draymond is a bad defender because he's too short. That height isn't enough against Asar. I hear that argument. I hear that argument. And it's not just because he's short, it's when you face a big man who knows how to use their size. Most bigs, most power forwards, centers and power forwards don't know how to use their size. They're just if you look at the big men of the past, they stayed in college longer to learn how to dominate and use their size better. Jump hooks over both shoulders. It's almost mandatory. The ability to shoot the low 5 to 10 footer, jump shot, the ability to make solid post moves against different types of defenders. This is what they learn fundamentally, foundationally when they stayed in college for 2, 3, 4 years. Remember, David Robinson, 4. Grab my headphones real quick so I can. Boom, boom. Always stay ready, ain't got to get ready. You feel me? Stay ready, ain't got to get ready. When you have a big man who knows how to use his size, putting a smaller defender on him is barbecue chicken. Is barbecue chicken. If you have footwork, you have a solid enough handle, it's barbecue chicken. Especially when you have a 2, 3 inch difference. You can shoot right over the top. Jump hooks are one of the hardest shots to stop. Right? Oh, you lost me at Robinson? Oh, damn. All the way back then, huh? All right, I'm back now. Hopefully you can hear me. Um, yeah, I was talking about the different levels, but either way, all it's to say is we do need more size in the front court. Pascal Siakam is going to be an issue for us. Miles Turner, not as much because I think that we can get away with rotating a wing to him when he's on the perimeter, when he's looking to shoot, instead of Duran having to guard him. But we've also figured that out as well. And Ivy is also going to help out with the rebounding, along with Asar Thompson having him full time, right now getting 30 plus minutes a game. I think we're going to do a lot better job rebounding and controlling the perimeter to negate a lot of what those guys do. All I say is they will continue to be a challenge for us. I think that we'll be right there competing with them. I still see us on the outside looking in just behind the Pacers and the Cavs when it comes to winning in the playoffs, at least for next season. But the season after, remember I said 2 years until we step into our championship window. The year after next, when we will have had those battle scars in the playoffs, we've had those wars against other playoff teams with real expectations, teams scheming for you, knowing your weaknesses, and then you having to go into the offseason knowing you got to correct some things so you can show up better in the playoffs. That is when you are able to step up. And I think that this is the type of team with so much talent that they're not going to take small steps, as big of a step as we saw that we took from 14 wins to 45, 46 wins this season. We're not going to take the same leap in terms of wins next season. We're going to take just as big of a leap in terms of development. In terms of development. So now, with expectations, we're still going to be able to perform. When teams are now looking at us with a target on our back, we can still perform. We can still gut out wins. Remember, health is the number one thing. And I'm not going to factor in who Milwaukee's going to be without thinking they're going to be healthy, except for Dame, right? Thinking about Philadelphia, I'm not going to say they're not going to be healthy. Toronto, right? These are all teams that I shoot. Miami, if they ever get a point guard, if they pick up someone like Dennis Schroeder as a point guard with Tyler Hero and Andrew Wiggins, Bam Adebayo, Khalil Ware, right? Jaime Jaquez off the bench, Duncan Robinson, guys like that, right? Nikola Jovic. They've got a lot of talent there as well. I definitely think we're far better than them. But it's just to say that it's going to be a dogfight next year, and we'll see how things shake out when it comes to injuries. But let me just conclude this video because I usually try to keep it only to about an hour. Let me just say this: the Detroit Pistons, as I said continuously throughout this video, we're going to be somewhere between 40 to 42 wins at a baseline. I don't know if that's enough to not have to be in the play-in tournament, but that's our baseline. And I've said before, this team is a 40-win team as long as we have Cade or Ivy at the helm. If we only have one of them, we can get to 40 wins. Everyone else is healthy in the league. We can get to 40 wins with one of those two guys as our lead guard. Now, if we have both, that's when you're looking at the 48 wins, right? 46, 47 wins, maybe the 50-win season, right? Health permitting. So these are all things that I really factor in when I look at what it's going to mean for this team to climb into the playoffs. And it will be a climb, but I think that we're built for it. I think we're built for it more than most teams are. You gotta understand, 82 games is a grind. 82 games is hard. But when you have young athletes who are light on their feet, you are more suited to do well in the regular season than more veteran-laden teams who don't have that quick twitch, springy athlete to create or generate turnovers and get out in transition and score easily, to do the things that speed and athleticism allows you to do over the course of an 82-game season that, well, less athletic guys don't have the ability to do. So all that's to say is I think that's our range, between 40 and 50 wins. 40 to 42 minimum, 50 wins at the highest. Ethan, was good, man? I know you see the potential, but I think you're underestimating where this team is at, which is funny because that's what everybody did before this year. Where do you think they're at? Where do you think that they're at? Because I think that they're 2 years away from a championship. I wouldn't consider that underestimating. I would say they're going to be a team to beat. They're going to be a team to beat. They're going to be a playoff team. And they're going to be in for a fight. They're going to be in for a fight. Eastern Conference has talent. Remember the year before, Eastern Conference was better than the Western Conference. Considering teams like the Golden State Warriors are struggling, just dropped a video on them earlier today. All right, you got the Lakers figuring themselves out with Luka. They're going to be retooling. You've got teams like the Clippers who are only getting older with Kawhi and James Harden. The Kings needing to figure themselves out. I think the East, when they're healthy, when the East is healthy, they are a harder conference than in the West. To get back to the number 5 seed, 6 seed is going to be a fight. Is going to be a fight. I think healthy, they're 50 wins, depending on how it shapes out. I agree on the 2 years. Okay, 50 wins. But I'm saying that's at best. I said 50 wins, but that's at best. You're still going to have healthy Cleveland, healthy Boston, healthy New York, healthy Milwaukee, healthy Philadelphia, healthy Indiana. That's 6. Healthy Toronto Raptors, who I'm high on. Healthy Miami Heat, right? A lot of these teams fell off because of a lack of health. They're going to be better. It's going to be a dogfight next year. Now I'm going to get into Orlando too. Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Orlando too. They're going to have Jalen Suggs back. They're going to be a year more experienced. They'll have a full season of Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero and Jalen Suggs, right? And after guys get traded, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, namely, it usually takes them a full season, if not into that second season, before they really find their legs and their shooting rhythm again. I expect KCP to have a bounce back year and shoot the ball lights out, alongside Jalen Suggs, who has a lot to prove as well. And then Franz and Paulo healthy. I think that's a team that could be just as much in the mix. Combine them with the Toronto Raptors, right? That's the top 8 right there, including Detroit, right? Cavs, Boston, New York, Philly, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit. Then you have Toronto and Orlando. It's 9 teams. It's 9 teams with everybody healthy. You still got Atlanta. It's going to be good with Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, Zachary Rissache is going to be another year experience, the number 1 pick in the draft this past year. Jalen Johnson, and they'll probably have that center position figured out. Plus their bench mob, right? That's and a solid bench mob with Karis LeVert, right? And what's his name? The minivan. You know, they're gonna have squad, so it's gonna be a fight next year. And that's 10 teams right there, including Atlanta, that legitimately are going to be looking at the playoffs. I didn't even mention Miami. All right. I'm definitely not mentioning Charlotte. I don't even talk about them. All right. It's one of those just trash organizations. I don't even touch them. But it's going to be a fight. If the Washington Wizards get Cooper Flag, all right, they take all those young guys, Keontae George and Bilal Coulibaly and Alex Sarr, last year's top pick, and you throw in a Chris Middleton and a Marcus Smart and stuff like that. What about Luke Kennard? Hell no. Don't even. I talked at the beginning. We need guys that bring defensive versatility that allow us to be able to play at a high level across the board, right? So even if your jump shot goes, you can still contribute. That's what winning in the playoffs is all about, that versatility. Because the shooting goes down for everybody in the playoffs. And I mean it. Everybody. So if you know that you cannot depend upon your three-point shooting, how valuable is it for a player whose main contribution to winning is purely shooting? We saw what that looked like with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley. When their shots were not dropping, they were almost unplayable. You can take away those types of guys' jump shot. Luke Kennard, the Knicks are not going to have a hard time taking away his three-point shot. I'm just being honest. So I appreciate you. If you stay with me this long in this live chat, my chats are always interactive. My lives are always interactive. I appreciate y'all staying with me this far. Definitely let me know what you think the Eastern Conference rankings are going to look like next season. If you stay with me to the end, when I post the video, put a little basketball, write Detroit basketball, and then put what do you think the rankings are going to be for the Eastern Conference next year? Where do you think the Pistons are going to rank in there? All right, and then we'll chop it up there in the comment section. But hey, as always, it's your man, 100 Grand, Ross with The Rock Never Stops. I appreciate y'all for stopping by, coming through. The community was lit. If you hit the like button and subscribe and the bell for notifications, you let YouTube know you enjoy being on my show. You enjoy being in an interactive chat, chopping up other Detroit Pistons and other NBA content. And if you do, smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. And I'm going to get at y'all next time. Peace.